Welcome to our city council meeting this evening. I have got laryngitis and may run out of the ability to talk. So you will hear Andrea, the Mayor Pro Tem, will be reading most of the items as they are called. If I get to where I can't talk anymore, she's going to take care of the rest of that. This is the regular city council meeting of November 14th, 2023. It is 6:30. Join us for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have 3 proclamations to be read, and Mayor Pro Tem Hattman will take care of those.
Okay. Our first proclamation is going to be for the Geographic Information System, so GIS Day, which is November 15th, 2023. Whereas the City of Rockport recognizes that an understanding, use, and application of that's a hard word for me, technology is crucial to operating our infrastructure, sustaining our natural resources, and stimulating economic growth, thus benefiting the welfare of the general public throughout coastal Bend. And whereas Geographic Information Systems technology uses us to see and model complex relationships and patterns to more intelligently respond, and whereas there is a need to promote GIS awareness, education, and technical training to use this rapidly developing technology to its full potential. And whereas the City of Rockport acknowledges those that have chosen GIS as their profession or as a part of their discipline to improve the lives of our citizens. And whereas to recognize and support the efforts of nonprofits who work on activities to improve conservation, human services, and various humanitarian efforts to better our world. And whereas having a day of GIS activities opens to students, citizens, and government leaders will help promote STEM education and inspire others to a higher calling to use technology for good. And whereas the City of Rockport is committed to utilizing GIS to inform decisions making and better serve its residents and make useful geographic information open and easily available to the public as a platform for innovation. Now therefore I, say your name, Tim Devereaux, Mayor of the City of Rockport, do proclaim November 15, 2023 as GIS Day in the City of Rockport, in witness whereof I have hereon to set my hand and cause the great seal of the City of Rockport, Texas to be affixed this 14th day of November 2023.
We have someone that's coming to accept this. Come on up.
There you go.
Makes it a lot easier for folks to do a job. You can go over there so I can take a picture.
Mayor and Council, this is Eric Cone. He is the city's GIS specialist. He works with the Public Works and the Building and Development Department. Has been instrumental in assisting us in moving forward to get all of our maps digitized and working with us as we go through the process to finish out our AMI program.
Setting up different GIS products for us, doing crime analysis, working towards more crime prevention techniques as well. So I appreciate everything you're doing with us. Thank you.
On agenda item number 3, number 4, let me correct myself, we have proclamation, I Love Rockport Center for the Arts Day, which is December 9th, 2023, and they would like to have
Different one, I'm sorry.
Oh.
The third one.
See, you're correct. Never mind, I take that back.
You read better than I do.
Okay. The proclamation, whereas Rockport Center for the Arts was founded on May 20th, 1969 by a group of artists as the art guild that became the Rockport Art Association Incorporated. And whereas Rockport Center for the Arts operated in several venues on Austin Street, including a Stell Stair Gallery until 1984, when it opened its maiden facility in the Burl O'Connor home near Aransas Bay. And whereas Rockport Center for the Arts operated in the Burl O'Connor home until 2017 and grew its visual arts and art education programs to become a nationally recognized organization. And whereas Rockport Center for the Arts, originally home of Aransas Bay, was destroyed by Hurricane Harvey on August 25th, 2017. This did not deter the organization from forging all its programs and events despite lacking a facility. And whereas 99 days after Hurricane Harvey, Rockport Center for the Arts moved into Clyde's Cafe, a 2,000 square foot building situated on land acquired in 2016 for a planned expansion. And whereas in March 2018, Rockport Center for the Arts launched the Imagine Capital campaign and raised $13 million across the state of Texas towards the construction of a new campus dedicated to the arts, including a venue branded as the Rockport Conference Center. And whereas construction of the new campus started on April 1st, 2021, the day after the successful relocation of the Clyde's Cafe building. And whereas the City of Rockport was a partner in the capital project, and along with Aransas County, provided stewardship of a $5 million disaster recovery grant for the Economic Development Administration. And whereas construction was completed December 9th, 2022, and the following day, over 700 guests celebrated the grand opening of the Rockport Center for the Arts and the Rockport Conference Center facilities. And whereas the capital project was completed without reoccurring debt. And whereas Rockport Center for the Arts is a vehicle for tourism and economic development along the Austin Street business corridor. Since the grand opening, tourism visitation has doubled and the Rockport Center for the Arts membership has tripled. Therefore, I,
Tim J-Rowe,
Mayor of the City of Rockport, do hereby proclaim December 9th, 2023 as I Love Rockport Center for the Arts Day in the City of Rockport, and I call upon the citizens of the City of Rockport to promote and engage in programs and activities provided for the Rockport Center for the Arts, and join in the special observance. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the great seal of City of Rockport, Texas, to be affixed this 14th day of November, 2023.
I'll get you over there. All right. Get up there.
Come December 9th, Saturday, December 9th, from 5 to 7, we're going to have an opening reception for our new exhibition. It'll be the first year anniversary in our new facilities. Thank you very much for your support.
Thank you. Agenda item number 5, TxDOT presentation and proclamation, end of the streak month, November 2023, if they want to come up with their presentation.
Good evening, Mayor Devereaux, council, community leaders, fellow citizens. My name is Danny Cox, a maintenance administrator out of the Corpus Christi district for TxDOT. And this evening I'm joined by Wayne Scott, crew chief here in Rockport, and Chandler Williams, our assistant area engineer. I'm going to be reading a prepared statement by our area engineer, Robert Asasi, out of the Centenary office, who's also attending another council meeting in South Texas tonight for the same reason. Since September 7th, 2000, not a single day has passed without the loss of a life on Texas roads. This relentless streak of fatalities is a somber reflection of the risks that lurk on our highways. That's over 2 decades of daily tragedy, a narrative that TxDOT is determined to change. In response to this issue, TxDOT launched the In the Street campaign in 2015 to bring awareness to this issue. This year, we are reaching out to communities like Rockport to bring this initiative to life. This initiative is not just about statistics, it's about people. It's about our families, friends, and neighbors. The campaign's mission is to turn every Texan's attention to the grim reality that the choices we make on the road have life or death consequences. This past February, we almost witnessed the end of this harrowing streak. For just one day, Texas recorded a single fatality, far below the daily average. While this is just a small victory, it is a poignant reminder that our collective efforts in engineering, education, and enforcement are not in vain. They can yield results, they can save lives. But let's be clear, the streak continues, and with it, the loss of over 83,000 lives since its beginning. That's over 3,600 lives each year. Each one is a heartbreak, each one is a life unfilled. TxDOT has pledged an unprecedented $17 billion over a 10-year period for safety improvements across our great state. We're not just talking about wider roads or clearer signs, though these are part of it. We're talking about increasing pavement striping size, adding rumble strips, constructing roundabouts, and implementing a Safer by Design program. These measures, though they might seem small, are significant steps toward our safety goals. Yet, infrastructure alone won't end this streak. It takes a conscious commitment from every driver. Nearly half of the roadway deaths in Texas involve individuals not wearing seatbelts. The fact alone should be a stark reminder of the control we have over our safety and the impact of our decisions. TxDOT is urging every Texan to become a champion of road safety. Tonight, I ask that you support TxDOT in spreading the message of making wise decisions behind the wheel. Buckle up. Seatbelts are our first line of defense. Drive the speed limit or slower, depending on road conditions. Drive sober, never drive under the influence, plan a sober ride home. When driving, put away your cell phone or set it to do not disturb. Also, you can support the In the Street Texas campaign on social media by posting pictures with the dedicated sign available on TxDOT.gov. You can share your personal stories to underscore the significance of this initiative and engage with TxDOT online, amplify our messages, and become part of the solution. Together, we have the power to make a difference. By supporting TxDOT's mission, not only do we raise awareness, but we also forge a collective force capable of saving lives. In the city of Rockport, let us lead by example, let us be the charge, and let us be the community that helps to end the streak of daily deaths on Texas roads. Thank you for your attention, your support, and your commitment to this life-saving cause. So, you heard?
Proclamation now, and then you guys can,
Okay.
if you're done with your presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, so the proclamation is going to read as, whereas the aim of the Texas Department of Transportation's End the Streak Safety Campaign is to reduce the number of daily deaths on Texas roadways and ultimately end the streak of daily fatalities. And whereas Texas Transportation Commissioners, the Texas Department of Transportation, the TxDOT Corpus Christi District, and Rockport are fully committed to supporting TxDOT's End the Streak campaign. And whereas the last day without a traffic fatality on Texas roadways occurred on November 7th, 2000. And whereas in the year 2022 alone, traffic crashes claimed the lives of 118 individuals within our 10-county TxDOT Corpus Christi District. And whereas each citizen holds the power to contribute to ending the daily toll of traffic deaths by practicing safe driving habits such as not speeding, refraining from impaired driving, putting away cell phones, buckling up, and obeying all traffic laws. And whereas in the earnest aspiration of Rockport and the Texas Department of Transportation to witness the cessation of fatalities of Texas roadways, and whereas we steadfastly believe that, collectively, we can effect meaningful and life-saving changes within our community, one driver at a time. Now, therefore, pursuant to the powers vested in me as Mayor, I, there you go, do hereby proclaim the month of November 2023 as End the Streak Month in Rockport, Texas, and implore all citizens to join in observing November as the End the Streak Month. I urge all drivers to adopt safe driving practices and affirm together our commitment to working tirelessly to end the streak of daily deaths on Texas roadways. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of Rockport to be affixed this 14th day of November, 2023.
Thank you.
It is, Mayor. It's a lot of reading.
Next item on the agenda is citizens to be heard. I will read this one. At this time, comments limited to 3 minutes will be taken from the audience from persons who have signed the speaker's card located at the table at the back of the training room of the service center and delivered to the city secretary before the meeting begins, or written comments received by 4 p.m. on the day of the meeting. On any agenda item or any subject matter will be read at the meeting. Persons wishing to address the council and who have registered using the citizen participation form will have up to 3 minutes to speak. In accordance with the Open Meetings Act, council may not discuss or take action on any item that's not been posted on the agenda. While civil public criticism is not prohibited, disorderly conduct or disturbance of the peace are prohibited by law shall be cause for the chair to terminate the offender's time to speak. Because of the number of people involved in the issues that have come up tonight, we are not going to do it exactly that way. At this time, if you have an item not on the agenda you wish to speak on, and I have Mr. Doug Webb as one, if there's anybody else that has one that is not on the agenda, you may speak now. You have 3 minutes. Mr. Webb, you can come up.
Thank you. Doug Webb, 130 Lamar Drive, Rockport, Texas, 78382. I've come here tonight to speak to you, the employees and representatives of the citizens of Rockport. However, due to the sensitive nature and length of the presentation, I'm going to have it delivered to you tomorrow. Mostly what it's about is y'all have been bickering over pennies for the water and not doing what you should do is have all these people in the city limits where they can be taxed. But what you don't seem to understand is that the only thing I get from the city is water.
Mr. Webb, this is an item that is on the agenda. You're welcome to speak at that time, but this is for an item not on the agenda. If you'd like to wait just a minute, we'll get to those items.
Outstanding. Thank you, sir.
I will let you do that. Anyone else on an item not on the agenda? Okay. We are going to take items in order, and if you have filled out a card, you're going to be allowed to come and speak here at the dais. If you have a sheet up here that you sent in and you're also here to speak, if you want to speak, that's fine. If you are here and you want your statement read, we'll read it. We won't do both. If you would like to come speak, we have one of these sheets. They'll call the name of the person they're going to read this from. Before we start with folks who are here, they will read these, starting with Andrea.
The consent agenda first.
Yeah, item number 12 is the one, if y'all want to read
Do we
it.
have the consent agenda still?
Do you want to get through consent agenda first? Or do you want to do that?
Let's do it now. I've already got this far into it. We'll read the consent agenda in a minute.
Okay.
We're doing consent?
No.
Going to 12?
Yes.
Mayor and council,
I will read the consent agenda thing, or we will look at the consent agenda, get that out of the way before I confuse people enough that our records are not good. Okay. Does anyone wish to have a consent agenda item removed for separate consideration? If not, do I hear a motion?
Move to approve consent agenda as presented.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Call for a vote. Ward 1.
Aye.
Ward 2.
Aye.
Ward 3.
Aye.
Ward 4.
Aye.
Mayor, aye. Consent agenda is done. Item number 12. Andrea.
On the regular agenda, item number 12, we're looking to deliberate and act on the first reading of an ordinance partially repealing ordinance number 1909 regarding water rates for ratepayers located out of the city. Refunds, providing for the validity of said ordinances, repealing all prior ordinances in conflict with, and providing for an effective date. Now we have cards. You want to be read? Oh, I start with this. Okay. I have a Christina Stinnett. Is she here, or do I read out? Okay, I will read her statement for her. She's on 1508 South Dowdy Street in Rockport, Texas. This is on the out-city rates. The unjust out-of-city rate surcharge needs to be dropped. Please vote no on agenda items 12 through 15, or postpone the agenda item until city staff can find a way to correct its late notice without invalidating the petition protesting the out-of-city rate change. My signature should count and not be discounted by the city's mistake. I have Elizabeth Johns. Is she here? Okay. She's Elizabeth Johns, 45 Primrose Circle. This is also on agenda items 12 through 15, if that wants to be read. I urge a no vote on agenda items 12 through 15. As a resident of the town of Fulton, I'm deeply concerned about the inequity in the proposed increases in the water rates for non-residents of Rockport who are nonetheless dependent on the city of Rockport for water. This is not the right way to treat individuals who have no voice in the city of Rockport elections. Thank you, respectfully, Elizabeth Johns. Then I have Diana Vossen. Okay. No, okay. Diana Vossen, 103 Sand Dollar Circle, and that's in Fulton, Texas. This is also through 12 through 15. The unjust out-of-city rate surcharge needs to be dropped. I vote no on agenda items 12 and 15, or postpone the agenda items until city staff can find a way to correct its late notice without invalidating the petition protesting the out-of-city rate. My signature should count and not be discounted because of the city's mistake. And then I will read it off here.
Kristie, Rutledge.
Mayor and City Council, I come here tonight as a resident of City of Rockport. I pay taxes in the City of Rockport since 2005. I am opposed to items 12 through 15 because your rate increases and your surcharge are not justifiable. The New Gen study is not a valid study for rate increases. It gave no justification for the surcharges, which were pushed off to our friends and our neighbors in Fulton and to the south, outside of the city limits. If you do one unjust action and you correct your mistake by invalidating their petition, and I'm not a part of that, nothing to do with it, never had a discussion on that, then you're likely to do another. And the same thing happened with the City of Rockport's the petition on the certificate of obligation. So correcting the mistake of not issuing notice by invalidating the petition, by invalidating the rates, and by issuing other increases or other surcharges is taking one wrong and making it double wrong. And that's an insult to our neighbors. And so it's eventually going to get a petition, whatever you decide to do tonight, and it's going to come back on the citizens of Rockport, the people that you really didn't want to have face this increase. We are going to have to pay for it. We're going to pay for the legal fees. We're going to pay for your administrative fees. So I recommend that you drop the surcharge altogether. You've got $1.9 million in money that's transferred out of your water and wastewater utility this year. It's not justified. It's administrative fees. You had a budget for your capital improvements where that was supposed to be paid for with grant money. But y'all switched that around. You didn't necessarily tell us all of that information, and now you're trying to recapture that money in this unjustifiable, illegal surcharge. So doing another wrong by voting in favor of these is just going to make things worse. Drop the surcharge and don't issue this notice. Let this petition go through. They have a right to find out exactly what's justifiable in that petition. I'd like for the Public Utility Commission to take a look at it. I've been talking against the rate increases for 3 years. I've been studying your budget, so I'm opposed to 12 to 5, and I ask that you postpone it. Thank you.
Ritter. 1901 Cochran Lane, Rockport. Dear City Representatives, especially Councilman Brundrett, I understand that the City of Rockport staff made a mistake by issuing late notices to some Aransas County citizens concerning the out-of-city water surcharges. I understand people make mistakes and that mistakes need to be corrected. I get it. But what I would like you to do is table the votes on items 12 through 15 until city staff are able to correct the late notice without invalidating the petition my friends have so diligently worked on. There are more than 600 people who have signed that petition whose voices deserve to be heard in this venue. If you feel you must vote on items 12 through 15 today, I urge you to vote against it. We as people need to remain ethical, even in the circumstances that lend them to themselves our advantage. You vote on this issue is about who you are as a person. Do you follow a code of ethics? Do you believe in fair play? I do, and I vote my values. Sincerely. Houston Stearne, 10 Primrose, Fulton, Texas. As a resident of Heron's Roost and Fulton, I object to the unequal increase in our water and sewer rates as compared to Rockport City residents. I feel there should have been a uniform rate increase if it was indeed necessary to raise rates at all. Fulton residents incur the same delivery costs for services as Rockport residents. I also understand that the city is trying to negate the petition that was delivered objecting to this increase by citing mistakes in the way we were notified about the increase. If these agenda items pass, it will delay the city addressing the unfair increase distribution and delay a resolution. Please vote no on agenda items 12 through 15, and let's move forward toward a fair rate structure for all the customers of City of Rockport utilities.
Mr. Robert Little. 109 South 4th Street, items 12 through 15. In response to the Rockport Mayor and City Council's proposal to impose an out-of-city surcharge on water usage for out-of-city residents, specifically the township of Fulton, there obviously was not a lot of forethought for the Mayor and City Council from the very beginning to consider or analyze the burden of the 47% surcharge would have on the retired citizens of Fulton. Most all retirees are dependent on fixed incomes to live day to day. In the past 3 years, we've been subject to CPIs that have increased monthly household budgets on average of $1,300 per month. These include gasoline, groceries, electric utilities, household maintenance, and health and homeowners insurance, especially windstorm. The consequences of your actions put many retirees in the position of having to reevaluate all options to maintain even a minimum quality of life in Rockport Fulton. One option under the consideration is selling their home and property and moving to a town where the City Council supports seniors. The issue is the unethical decision by the Mayor and City Council to change the date of the water rate increase to invalidate the petition that was already secured by residents to contest the actions of the Rockport City government. My question as a concerned citizen is if this conduct is allowed for the date change, what future actions we'll have to look forward to while living here. Any government body should welcome debate and challenge to remain transparent and trustworthy. Please vote no on agenda items 12 through 15 and eliminate out-of-city surcharge. Clyde and VJ Barre. 114 Timberlane Loop. Hold to rates already established. Stop trying to gouge the citizens of Rockport. Ms. Mary York. 132 Copano Heights Boulevard. I do not agree that we should be charged a surcharge for water because we live outside the city limits. I'm more than willing to pay for a regular sewer and water if you would please service our area. If you're not planning on servicing our area, there's really nothing we can do about it. We still need water, so please don't overcharge us for the water. My water bill has already gone up substantially, and I pay taxes that are plenty high already for the county. Thank you.
Is there a Jacob Morgan present? Okay, Jacob Morgan, 1919 Highway 35 North, related to water rates. Hi, Jacob, Ward 1 resident. As the holidays approach, I am reminded of the holiday of Festus due to Seinfeld, the sitcom. As such, this statement will be focusing more on grievances. We are moving forward on setting the water rates, and there is a lot of negative feedback about city residents paying more than any inner-city residents. One of the justifications of this was that out-of-city doesn't have representation at the bargaining table, as implied by one of the city council members during the previous meeting. I have previously sent in comments on this topic of taxation without representation and even listed out-of-precinct court cases. With today's AI technology, it is super easy to find any law cases you can imagine. Instead, I want to talk to you about the taxation is theft movement. You can ask any Rockport resident about the courthouse that we are building downtown. Most hate it. We voted no on it. And now we are being forced to pay for product we do not want. Feel free to correct me, but the courthouse is inside city limits, but we all pay equal taxes for it. Same with school tax. Rockport has a small homeschool group, but they still pay taxes for education that they will not use. Water is in need. You cannot survive more than 3 days without it. This begs the question, if we all pay equally, to my knowledge as a citizen, for wants that we don't want or use, why should residents be forced to pay more for necessities? And will we get a straightforward answer to what this added income to city pockets go to? We have been told it is for funding of Ward 1 and Ward 3 products, as well as been told it's going to the untouched and saved for emergencies. Will we get a definitive set in stone answer on why and where this added money is needed? Please don't let the water rates turn into another City Hall fiasco. Don't let it turn into an artificial turf fiasco. Please think before spending money like most families have in today's economy. Keep taxes from becoming theft. Candace Sargent, 214 Portia Avenue, Rockport, related to agenda items 12 through 15. Please vote no on agenda items 12 through 15. It's unethical to try and circumvent the petition that's been signed by many out-of-city residents should not be subjected to such an increase. Let the people vote. Elizabeth Green, 104 Boardwalk Avenue, related to agenda items 12 through 15. The big out-of-city rate surcharge is unfair and not justified. Please vote no on agenda items 12 through 15 or postpone the agenda items until city staff can find a way to correct its late notice without invalidating the petition protesting the out-of-city rate change. My signature should count and not be discounted by the city's mistake.
Mr. Webb?
You sure about where this is?
You're all right.
I'm Doug Webb, and I believe I still live at 130 Lamar Drive, Rockport, Texas. Came here to talk about some sensitive issues. Have decided to present that to you tomorrow, where you have time to study it. I'd like to meet with perhaps the mayor and Stephanie, my representative, or the whole council, if that's possible, in an executive commission, executive meeting or something. The only thing that I get from city is water. But I pay taxes and I pay sales tax. That's thousands of dollars a year that I pay for water only. That's the only thing that I get. Everything else I could get from the county. I already pay county taxes. This is so wrong. And I'm on the other side of that. I mean, I don't think you can either say we're not going to serve anybody out of the city, or you could take everybody into the city and charge taxes and things so that we all have the same thing. The commercial people inside the city have a great disadvantage for being in the city. You'll get more information on that later. I'm going to go off scale like Joe does sometimes, but I do know that I'm going to sit over there. This is just wrong. I mean, it's unfair to charge the commercial people more than anyone else. I mean, we have to pass the costs on, so it hurts everyone. Thank you.
Number 12, would you read? 12? Okay, thank you, sir. Number 12, read.
We on number 13 now?
Are you not ready for that?
No, I'm ready.
Okay. Item number 12.
I already read 12.
They're going to talk, other people talk before they get there. I beg clerks will read these off, but read this, what the thing is, so that we'll have read the heading into the record.
Okay, so you want me to read which one? I'm sorry. Already read which one? So we have nobody else speaking on 12?
Yeah, they are.
Oh, okay.
They read, so we know what we're talking about. This was different because we had people who were talking on 3 or 4 different items.
Okay, so,
But 12 is where we are now.
okay. Agenda item number 12, deliberate and act on first reading of ordinance partially repealing ordinance number 1909 regarding water rates for ratepayers located out of the city, providing for refunds, providing for the validity of said ordinance, repealing all prior ordinances in conflict wherewith, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. First part I have on item number 12 is from Marlene Oldham.
I'm Marlene Oldham, 23 Camellia Circle, Fulton, Texas, and I just want to go on record to say that please vote and give us an opportunity to live out our lives in our homes with clean water.
Thank you, ma'am. Mary Claire Kane.
I'm Mary Claire Kane. I live at 38 Primrose Circle in Fulton. I am speaking for the people who live in Fulton and the county. Please vote no on agenda items 12 through 15. You could also postpone this decision until you figure out a way that does not invalidate our water rate petition. Have you been out talking to the people who will be affected by the 47% water rate increase? Well, I have been out doing that, and I am telling you that many of the out-of-city customers cannot afford the higher water bill, and they are irate that you would do this to them. Also, many of your Rockport in-city limits customers are appalled and ashamed of you for what you are doing. Many of them said they wanted to sign our petition, and I had to tell them that they couldn't sign it and it wouldn't count if they did. At one of your first council meetings on this issue, 3 of you weren't comfortable with that big a rate increase to out-of-city customers. One of you said we could petition or get annexed to Rockport. What has happened to you that you would agree to this attempt to invalidate our petition? Much of our world is on a path which is evil. Look at what Hamas has done to their neighbor, the state of Israel. Neighbors shouldn't treat each other that way. On a much smaller scale, what has happened to the Rockport-Fulton relationship and the name that has been used for many years. If you persist in this, you will have caused a huge strike at separating our 2 towns. What you will do if you proceed with this monkeying around to invalidate our petition and require us to do a second one is only going to make the situation worse. This is just wrong and should never have happened. Please stop and think before you act tonight. Thank you, and God bless America.
Kathy Kane.
Kathy Kane.
Hi, Kathy Kane, 109 Boardwalk Avenue, outside of the city. I'm here today to ask you to honor the PUC petition process. When the water and wastewater rates were adopted for non-city water customers, the city manager shared we had 2 options: become city residents in order to be represented by a councilperson, or file a petition with the Texas Public Utility Commission. In a STAR meeting, City Manager Schroeder shared the PUC option in response to questions and then with me personally after the event. I understand the public notice wasn't issued per rules. What are the consequences of waiting to address this error after the PUC rules on the petition? Vote no to agenda items 12 and 14. Let the process recommended by the city manager continue. Agenda item 13 is addressing only 2 of the rates identified on the petition for the stated purpose of providing relief to the aggrieved and fixed income out-of-city customers. I did the math. My October bill for water was $80.12. If this relief is applied, my bill would be $80.18. How is that a relief? Vote no to agenda item 13. Let the petition process continue. At the end of the day, I look at today's discussion as a reaction to the successful petition drive. We have the signatures we need for the PUC to investigate. The city will have to respond and justify the unjustifiable. The 47% usury tax applied to the water and wastewater rates to out-of-city customers. How does the city reply? They modify 4 items required on the petition: the decision and effective dates, the minimum water bill, and the usage per gallon. Why is that important? They selected only 1 out of 14 rates, the only base rate listed on the petition, a clear attempt to invalidate the petition. Vote no on all 4 agenda items. Let the PUC process play out on a level playing field. Thank you.
Patrick Kane.
Evening, Patrick Kane, 1123 East Cedar Street. I am a city resident. My questions to council are, how many out-of-city ratepayers have you talked to? How many were aware? How many of those were aware of the 47% out-of-city surcharge? And then how did you explain to them the surcharge? What I've learned while knocking on doors for the petition is most people weren't aware of the surcharge. When they were upset when they found out. And they wanted to know why they pay more. My immediate response is because the city can't. I go on to explain the city says it wants to keep the in-city rate low. Other cities have a surcharge. We don't pay city taxes. And that if you don't like it, the city has an annexation form for you, which really pissed off the people in Fulton. I also tell them the latest increase added 78 cents to the in-city base rate and $3.11 to the out-of-city base rate. And the usage rate went up 21 cents in-city and over 4 times that amount out-of-city. I point them to the rate tables on rockportwater.com so they can directly compare the in-city and out-of-city rates. I did that because the city does not tell them that they pay more than in-city residents. I've had a few people ask whether the difference in rates is because they don't pay city taxes, and I explained to them the utilities are enterprise funds and aren't subsidized by city taxes. In fact, $2 million a year is transferred out of the water and wastewater utilities for franchise fees, payment in lieu of taxes, and administrative salaries. So if anything, the utilities are subsidizing the city. I've had a few people ask whether it costs more to deliver utilities outside the city limits. These people get a gold star as this is really the most important factor in setting the out-of-city surcharge. Unfortunately, I must tell them the city's rate studies don't address this issue. When I discussed the city's rate studies with my point of contact at the Public Utilities Commission of Texas, she said Rockport's rate studies aren't rate studies, that there's simply an attempt to back into a number. It is clear the city has not and cannot justify a rate surcharge, especially to ratepayers in the donut holes and to those who border the city limits. Tonight is your opportunity to listen to the out-of-city ratepayers. If you want to change the utility rates, make the out-of-city rates the same as the in-city rate. Tell staff to do a legitimate rate study and to come back with a rate change later this year or early next year that's just and reasonable for all ratepayers. If you're not willing to do that, please respect the ratepayers who have signed the petition and vote no on agenda items 12 through 15. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kane. Andrew Kane.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Andrew Kane, 2106 Lakeview Drive. I'm an in-city water payer. I urge you to vote no to agenda items 12 through 15. Do not repeal the rates in Ordinance 1909 and 1910, which were set after many workshops and meetings. The city was indeed 4 days late in providing legal notice of the rate increase. However, there is no penalty for being a few days late. We have talked to the Public Utilities Commission. The response is no foul and no harm. City staff are lying to you about many things. Does anyone in this room believe the improper notice was due to a mistake by the printer? How does a printer omit a paragraph from an uneditable PDF? A PDF prints as sent, which means a paragraph containing the effective date didn't exist until the oversight was pointed out to you after deadline. It is shameful they think you are stupid enough to believe this lie. Let's go to the next slide. The city manager assumes you are too stupid to see. She claims she is trying to help the aggrieved by lowering the base rate 20 cents. That would be a total savings of 20 cents a month to someone you are charging a surcharge of 47% more. Yet she claws back those 20 cents a month in savings by increasing the usage rate to 5 to 10 cents, which means most will pay more, not less as she claims under these new rates. Since these changes won't save anyone money, why does she want to change the rates you have already agreed to? Both the base rate and usage rate are listed on our petition as required by law, as is the effective date of the rate change. The actions in front of you today are intended to change each of these facts specifically to invalidate this petition. If you don't believe me, ask city staff whether voting yes on agenda items 12 through 15 will invalidate the petition. Ask them. If they say they don't know, please understand that is yet another bold-faced lie. As the law is quite clear, our appeal must be against a specific rate action. Why are these games being played? Despite the months of citizens warning you these inflated and unsubstantiated rates to out-of-city ratepayers would not hold up in a PUC review, y'all did it anyway. Why? Because the mayor and staff told you it was legal. I can only assume in the past few months, your staff and legal have dug in deeper while we have worked on our petition, and they now understand they cannot substantiate this action to the PUC, and they will lose. The only way to stop it is to keep the PUC from getting jurisdiction. The only way to invalidate our petition, to invalidate a petition is the only way this can be done. You are the decision makers, not the staff. Please, I ask you to do what is right. Should the 700 people who have signed the petition have their voices invalidated because the city staff made a mistake? No. I see a couple of easy options available to unite. Either vote no on these agenda items or postpone the agenda items until staff can come up with a plan to honor the ongoing petition and corrects the late notice error they made. The citizens exercising their constitutional right to petition the government should not have to pay for your mistakes. Let our voices be heard, as that is the right thing to do. Thank you.
Toby Kernan.
Toby Kernan, Fulton, 1401 Royal Oaks Trail. I want to do a little different here. My wife and I'm going to talk with flags because these meetings, I don't agree with them. You can't get responses, it's the law or something. This man will never get a response of whether he can have a meeting. Yeah, I tried to. I can't hear back here when they're talking to the speaker. Anyway, I would just like to understand, I'll talk to the beautiful flags because they're not going to answer and you're not going to answer. And I'm sure a lot of things that have been said tonight are not going to be accurate and you're going to say they weren't accurate, we'll disregard them. I like to see action. We moved to Fulton because we liked the area. We moved from Travis County. Lust also lived in Harris County as well as 12 other states in the United States. All had homestead. A little history here. When I kept Fulton in 2019, I found out they didn't have a homestead exemption. What? And it took a lot of time, a lot of meetings to go to, and finally the people got the homestead exemption for the residents of Fulton, which they were all eligible to. They were over 65 and homesteads. And I found out that a year later, after we got it passed, that we neglected to have the ceiling put on it. We went to a lot of meetings and we got that done. I hope that you people understand that what's happening is not fair. It's not morally. I don't care about legality. It's just just not fair and equitable. And a lot of this has been said by other people. This is a great place to live. I went to one meeting here, and Stephanie was one that consistently said, this is not right. The meeting I went to, Andrea said, something's not right here. I'm not happy. I can't put my fingers around what you want to do. And she asked for a pause and a delay and talk about it. But unfortunately, the vote was going to be done in 10 days. So everybody said, after she said it, everybody except the mayor said, yes, we will pause and just debate this later. Well, that didn't work out. And because it didn't work out, we worked hard to protect our interests as people that don't live in a city about something that is unjust. It's not right. There was a thing in Boston called the Tea Party. You gotta understand, you're not doing something that's morally right here. And we ask for you to since you're getting the opportunity, I don't know how you did it when you already wrote it, that it was official and then you're changing again. And the thing that bothers me, Fulton was 50 years.
Susie Devereaux.
Hello, y'all. My name is Susie Devereaux, and I live at 41 Primrose Circle in Fulton, Texas, also in Heron's Roost. Thank you for letting me come up here today and talk to y'all. You know, I oppose what's happening right now with the water rates and stuff. I really do. It just doesn't, it's not fair. But it seems to be that the devil is at work here and all over the world. And that's what scares me. So I truly pray that y'all will let us have this petition go through and hold off and vote no 12 through 15. Thank y'all, and God bless you.
Ron Devereaux.
Good evening. I'm Ron Devereaux. I live at 41 Primrose Circle in Fulton, Texas. Just recently retired, so this is the last place I wanted to be. I was hoping to be out fishing and doing all the fun things retirees do. So now that I'm on a fixed income, like some of the other people here, I got to stand up and ask y'all to vote no on agenda items 12 through 15. Seems to be a lot of disagreement on the rates and what people should pay fairly. So I just ask that you postpone your decisions until we can get this petition through to the Public Utilities Commission and let them have a look, get an outside party involved and see what they have to say. So if y'all would just consider that, I'd appreciate it a lot. Thank you.
Cindy or Bill Matthews? Okay.
I believe she marked you wanted to comment. She has a comment she wanted to say.
Okay. Julia Carls? Probably so. At 118 Sandollar Circle.
Yes, sir. You can just read it. That's fine.
Okay. Unfair, unethical, and wrong. Okay?
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Mary Ciuffo. Is that as close as I can get?
It's Ciuffo, and I live at 60 Circle in Rockport.
Okay. I need you up here so we can record it, if you don't mind.
My name is Mary Ciuffo. I live at 60 Begonia Circle in Rockport in the Heron's Roost. All I can do is say, hey, this is really expensive. Right now, my water bill is higher than my electric bill. This is crazy. And I talked to other people and they go, why is your water so high? I said, they keep raising the rates. I don't believe it's fair, and no notification. This came as a big shock to me when I got later a petition at my door going, did you know that the water was going up in a higher rate? And I said, no. So please vote no on 12 through 15. Thank you.
All those we have, the city manager.
I'm sorry?
Turn.
Mayor and council, of course, the rate change that we voted in September, or that was effective September 9th, or effective September 15th, I'm sorry. Last week it was pointed out to us that our notification was sent incorrectly. It omitted the effective date. We did quite a bit of hustling and went through all of our paperwork and could not find the error until we ultimately opened a piece of returned mail, and the effective date was in fact left off. When we reported this to Data Pros, who sends out our bills, they took full responsibility. We'll be working with them. They reformatted for us to print it on 3 pages, I guess, or a front and back. And when they reformatted it, they left out the effective date. So once it was pointed out to us that this was an error, it's incumbent on us to correct this. The PUC requires notice within 60 days, and we did not meet that. Again, like I said, Data Pros has taken full responsibility. We will be negotiating for lost revenue and the cost of the mailing, staff time, etc. I've copied you guys on a couple of email chains. But other than that, that is to correct the error. That's what this item is to correct that error, the notification error.
Okay. Council questions?
Mayor, I motion to table agenda items 12, 13, 14, 15 as each relate to our state partially repealing or amending rates for ordinances 1909, 1910, City of Rockport Code of Ordinances, Chapter 102, Article 1 and 2, till a public hearing to be set per Section 1106, Regulation of Rates, subsection 2 of the Charter that states, upon receiving written requests from a utility or public service requesting a change in rates, or upon a recommendation from the city that rates for services provided by or owned by the city be changed, the city council shall call a public hearing for consideration of the change.
That's correct. We have the public hearing scheduled for the December 12th meeting. 12th. It doesn't have to be in order, but we do have to have it, which is correct. So it'll be on the December meeting.
And this, excuse me, correction, is it to table or to postpone?
Table.
Table would be.
Correct.
Table would be considered tonight again.
Then postpone.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Discussion.
Stephanie, I'm seconding it. I do. Can you just explain in a little bit more detail what you would like to do, just because there's a lot of codes that you just kind of spelled out, and just for the people here and all of us, what you're actually wanting to do here.
Yeah, I think it's fair that if any changes are going to be made to the rates, that the public should have a period of time to address it, just like we would any other process. I think that, you know, a lot of the intentions behind the agenda items are to try to maintain legality, and that's what the charter is stating as well. So I just want to support the factual legality behind each intention.
We have a public hearing set for the council meeting in December before the second reading, is that right? Okay.
I guess I'm not necessarily opposed to postponement or doing this at another time. I really would like to have better understanding and clarity on any ramifications for not moving forward at this point. I mean, we've identified an error and tried to make correction. I mean, there's a lot of opinions out there about what's going on. I need to hear from you all the rationale for why these agenda items were prepared the way that they were and in the order that they are.
So the first item, of course, is to repeal and refund. Without having sent proper notice, we have an illegal rate in effect, and we are collecting on an illegal rate. So we either have to refund it, repeal and refund, or go on with an illegal rate. So that's why it's repealed. The second one, the second item, 13, I guess, or following, is the adoption of rates. When we get to that, I have the handout for you that shows, the original rate, the rate you adopted, and then a relief rate, which the citizens talked about, which I've changed up a little bit. I can explain later. But you can adopt after this any rate you like. We are repealing the illegal rate. We're going to have to refund it. And at this point, it's at about $43,000 a month. So as we continue on not repealing it, we're collecting $43,000 a month. We have to refund. And, the longer we go with an illegal rate, not only the more we have to refund, the more legal fees we incur, the more staff time we incur, because it has to be corrected. Whether you do it today or you do it in 6 months or 12 months, you're still gonna have to refund the illegal rate. It doesn't matter.
For me personally, I mean, take the rate decision off the table and any future changes to the rate. I feel we should immediately address what we know the fact is, and the fact is we missed that 60-day timeline, and to continue to charge folks when we know we've done wrong, that I think we should take action immediately on that. And then any opportunity with the company that made the error, I think it's right that they make us whole up to this point, but tonight if council chooses not to take action, I don't know that we would have any precedence to go back to the company after tonight. I mean, is that fair?
That's my understanding, and again, like I said, we're negotiating that. Their last email said, we will make this right. Now, I don't think that they understand that that's gonna cost us a couple $100,000, but that was the last answer I had. We just got our kind of analysis of the money part today. So yes, we will try to recoup every penny of that.
So there's
Anyone else?
Go ahead.
Sorry. Okay.
I was just saying, there's no penalty for the late notice. However, when you say we'll be collecting these additional funds, but we would be refunding that same collection amount back to the people, correct? So really it would be no loss for us?
There's not.
It would be a wash?
I'm sorry. The penalty for a late notice is we have an illegal rate.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, we will be collecting and refunding. It will not be a wash. There will be legal fees, there's staff fees, there's quite a bit. It's not gonna be free to refund it, to start with, just even if we do anything tonight. There's not a penalty because there's not an option. It's either late or it's on time.
What's taken place is that social media has been involved in city business, and that's fine because people have a right to express their opinion. But when an opinion comes out and the city looks into it and finds out there was a mistake made, and it was a mistake on behalf of the city, not by city staff, but by people that were being paid to do billing for the city, I think it's incumbent upon the council to do something to correct that problem. Now, if correcting that problem has interference on a petition that's being done, I have no control over that. And I know that there was a lot of work done, and I don't begrudge the folks that are doing the work. But when we have had it pointed out to us and found out that it is a valid complaint, that the rates we set were not intentionally messed up, but they were still not reported to the people and they were not notified as required by law, I think it is our responsibility to change that. And I think that's incumbent upon us to do that on behalf of the people that elected us and that we're serving here. My opinion.
I can understand where that's coming from. This is, you know, it's kind of putting us in a rock and a hard place right now as a council. It's looking at this both ways. I don't want to take away a petition that people worked really hard on and that they, you know, truly believe in. And, you know, regardless of what our opinions are, what our thoughts are, the rate stuff, we are, if we're taking that away, we are taking that away from them. And then at the same time, yes, it is illegal right now for us to have the tax rate. So there's two different notions here what we have to consider, and what is right and what's wrong. Postponement, I can see it being, but when is the December meeting? You said December 12th, so it's how many weeks away from now? That's quite a way there. I had a lot of questions. My deal is, and I'm going to kind of go back there, it's like, to me, it's almost like I found out about this, and then I feel like it's a lot of information that I'm still trying to process, and I don't know if I don't have the right answer in my head, and that's where I'm kind of having trouble again here. I got this information Friday, is now, yeah, I know that. I'm not disagreeing with you guys, but it's just really quick for us to make such a big decision, and I understand where you guys are coming from, so I'm just trying to work through it here and trying to.
I'm going to call for a vote on the amended motion.
Well, we should be able to talk though. Like
you get twice to talk.
That's
Yes.
That's not a thing.
Yes, it is.
Okay, all right.
Is that not right?
Okay.
Teresa?
I'm sorry.
Council members can speak twice on an item. Is that not correct? Thank you.
I've only talked once and I was not done. So
Thank you.
That was very rude.
I have a motion and a second to table action on this item. Is that right?
Are we gonna?
Or postpone?
I believe her motion was on all the items.
Correct.
Yes.
12, 13, 14, and 15.
Motion and a
Is that
second.
what we're
For any
voting on?
further discussion?
I had quite a few questions, but.
Councilmember Brundrett has not spoken.
Yeah, go ahead. Thought you had.
Sorry, I usually do.
That's true.
I'd sent a list of questions to city manager and staff, and if possible, could you answer a few of those at this time? Prior to us casting our votes?
You want me to read them and then answer them?
Sure.
Okay, I have two lists here. I'll read both of them. The cost of the city to refund 2 months of fees is approximately $86,000. Keep in mind that will fluctuate. This is a low month. Probably wasn't billed in a low month, but it will fluctuate. We only have one cycle to go off of. Is there a rate that we could justify and keep the citizens okay without going to the PUC? I do not know the answer. The only rate that would allow for no PUC action would be the pre-9/15 rates or last year rates, okay? A 1-to-1 rate means that the citizens of Rockport subsidize out-of-city users, correct? Yes. For example, a portion of admin salary is paid from utility fund, but no supplies, training, computers, legal counsel, or anything of the sort is transferred. No IT comes from the utility funds, no communication, comm center is paid from the utility funds, and no HR is paid from the utility funds, and over a third of our staff is utility staff. Potential costs to out-of-city ratepayers if the PUC finds in favor of the city. I said that Art's gonna have to answer this one because I don't know. You gonna answer it? Or do you know?
Can y'all hear me?
No.
Can y'all hear me now? Hello?
In 6 months-ish in a PUC hearing. $50,000 a month to refund, question mark. To let this go to hearing and have the PUC tell us our rate is invalid and must be rescinded because we did not give proper notification would be not only the cost to refund the amount, about $750,000 by the time it goes through the 12 to 14-month process for a hearing, it would be additional legal fees, additional staff time, and additional legal fees for the PUC to tell us that we didn't give proper notification and must repeal our rate. The last question says, or on this one, says, our rates are based on a study by whom and when? Our rates start from a 2-year-old New Gen study, factors in the last 2 years' inflation and the cost of service to come up with our existing rates. The first question on this page is, why is the rate outside the city more than in the city? Part of it's to pay for infrastructure, and all of the personnel costs utilized by the utility fund are not captured in the utility fund, such as the ones I just listed. Why would we not want to rescind if it is illegal and the city will still be held accountable for the error? If I'm not correct, it will cost the city taxpayers even more in the long run from legal fees and refunds with no guarantees. My answer was, we do want to rescind and correct our error. We don't need the PUC to tell us that we've made one. There was a mistake at the printer that caused us not to notify the public properly, and we risk continued overcollections, and the risk of continued overcollections is too great, and based on legal advice, we need to rescind it. How much money are we going to lose if we don't rescind? 12 to 24 months of the PUC process. I put about 18 months at $750,000 plus, again, staff time and legal fees. How much does it impact the budget? I can't answer that until we have a decision. How much money would we lose if we rescind and go back to square one and not raise rates on out-of-city customers and revisit it next year? That's going to be about $500,000. What legal ramifications if we don't rescind and move forward as is, and what legal ramifications are there if we do rescind? If we do rescind it, we're correcting our mistakes swiftly and correctly. If we don't, it's the rate plus court action plus legal fees. Does that open up more questions for anybody?
Thank you for answering my questions that I haven't sent in.
No problem. I will answer any questions. Or Art, you want to go back and answer yours, Art? Sorry, I cut you off.
That's fine. I think you got it.
Okay. Are there further questions?
We still have a motion and second.
Mayor, before we vote, if we could please clarify what the motion was, so it's clear when we vote, please.
I got you. Motion to postpone regular agenda items 12, 13, 14, 15 as each state to partially repeal and or amend rates for ordinances 1901, 1910, City of Rockport Code of Ordinances, Chapter 102, Article 1 and 2, until the public hearing be set per Section 11.06, Regulation of Rates, subsection 2 of the Charter that states, upon receiving written request from a utility or public service requesting a change in rates, or upon a recommendation from the city that rates for services provided by or owned by the city be changed, the City Council shall call a public hearing for consideration of the change.
Any questions?
If whichever way this goes tonight on the vote, it's first reading?
Tonight is first reading.
So changes could be made?
For second reading. Having only one meeting per month kind of puts it in a time crunch. We found out about the error on Friday. A public hearing has to be put in the paper 14 days? 15 days in advance. So we put this on here so we can get our corrective action moving, then we'll have a public hearing, and then you'll have a second reading.
Between the public hearing and second reading, or public hearing and first reading, is there a time frame, or a required time frame?
No.
So if we do postpone, can we move up the public hearing to 15 days from
Today?
Today?
No. It can't go in the paper until.
There's barely enough time because of the holidays next week.
Yeah, there's not even,
If you voted tonight, or. if
Turn
you
your
decided-
microphone on.
I have to look at the calendar, exactly, somebody with the calendar, but if you decided tonight to schedule whatever, you have to, next available paper to put this in would be Saturday's paper. Possibly, Mike's sitting there, possibly Wednesdays, but that's not usually how we work. Saturday's paper, and then, it wouldn't go on Saturday's paper, it would go on Saturday's paper 15 days from then, which would be 15 days from Saturday.
So Mayor, another silly question, and I'm not trying to go over how many times I get to talk. She's asking for postponement on agenda items we haven't brought forward. You've got a whole stack of cards there. So I'm not opposed to postponement, I'm opposed to taking action on all of these with one single vote. So, I mean, I don't know if I'm supposed to tell y'all, spoiler alert, I can't support that. I prefer that we go through this one at a time, because they have different needs. But, I mean, if you want to call the question, go for it, but that's kind of where I'm at.
Well, we're gonna have to take some action on it.
Yeah, we have to take action on her motion. But
Okay.
You can make an amendment if you want to.
I don't know how to amend
You
that.
can withdraw it and come back and do what
I
you
mean,
want
I
to on
could,
this item.
it'll still be, the same motion's still going to be requested for each agenda item, but I can amend them individually. So,
The idea of postponement for a hearing that it doesn't appear that we can do if we don't call the rest of these items.
no, I understand what you're saying.
So I don't know, I'm way out of water on this one, how to proceed.
She could actually withdraw her motion, withdraw a second, and start over. Would be the simplest way to handle it, one by one.
You could, if you had the urge, you could withdraw the motion on this item. We could handle this item and go, and then you could do the same on the next one when we got to it, and we can discuss it again. But that's up to you.
So, and again, I'm really trying to connect the dots, guys. Everybody's staring me down right now, and that's okay. I'm not afraid to ask the dumb questions. These are first readings, so we're gonna postpone them all, potentially, until the public hearing, which it doesn't appear we're gonna be able to call the public hearing if we postpone these. But hypothetically speaking, we move forward till December 12th. So you're suggesting we can't have a first hearing until after December 12th. Am I understanding correct? So you don't want to see any of this until the
And the
public
thing
hearing?
is, you want to hear them each individually, but each one of these agenda items relate to 12, 13, 14, 15. They all still have the same wording, appeal and amend, which is directly related to that subsection within our charter.
Okay.
So I would like to hold and have the second for support.
Okay. And I guess that might be where I'm further confused, because rescinding and refunding is different than establishing what essentially will be the new rates, which is required to conduct we've got to have the public hearing to consider new rates. So I don't see them as all the same. I respect what you've submitted. I don't know. If we wait till the public hearing with the second reading, we're in January, right? To potentially try to rectify this. Okay. You're welcome to call the vote, but I don't think that's.
Any other questions, since we've gone way past 3, 4, whatever?
I'm here.
I'm going to call for a vote on the motion. The motion is to postpone all 4 items. Okay. Any other question? Ward 1?
Aye.
Ward 2?
Nay.
Ward 3?
Aye.
Ward 4?
Aye.
Mayor, nay. Passes 3 to 2. That being done, we have no further action to take on those next 3 items. They're all votes. Item number 16. Andrea.
Agenda item number 16 is deliberate and act on second and final reading of the ordinance amending City of Rockport Code of Ordinances, Chapter 102, Utilities Article, what is that number?
I'm sorry, what?
What is 1B? 4, thank you. Surcharge revenue account by amending section 102-401 surcharge to increase surcharge fee, repealing all ordinances in conflict therewith, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Is that the right one? I just said the wrong one, didn't I? I did. Is that the right one?
All right, following the September 26, 2023 council meeting, council instructed staff to compile an ordinance increasing the utility bill surcharge from $1.35 per connection to $2 per connection. The increase would be effective November 15th and reflect on the January 1st, 2024 bills. On October 24th, when the first reading of the ordinance was approved, it was also amended on the floor to include reducing the city's administrative fee from 5% to 2%, and that is reflected in this reading. And so we've done that. We've reduced the fees. So going forward, that should help increase the fees probably from where the volunteer fire departments would be getting closer, probably about 90, a little over 90, probably 95,000, all things being equal. So what we're doing is we're asking to approve this second reading. And then also wanted to clarify that upon further research of the Code of Ordinances, it was revealed that this was not a voluntary surcharge. It was actually in our Code of Ordinances, it's mandatory. So I didn't know if we wanted to keep it voluntary, change the Code of Ordinances, or indeed make it mandatory across the board. Because the last couple of years, it's been treated as voluntary.
That is a whole separate.
That's a whole separate
discussion from this item.
Yes.
So I guess he's given it to you to think about.
Yes.
It needs
Yes,
to be
ma'am.
brought back.
Yes, ma'am.
The guy is not part of it.
So it would have to come back on first reading. Is that right?
Yeah, this can be approved or denied.
Just for the surcharge and the reduction, but he's asking you if you want him to change the Code of Ordinances to make the surcharge voluntary, whereby right now in the code, it's mandatory.
I would be inclined personally to see it left mandatory because I believe the fire department needs the help.
You'll see it on the next agenda then.
I mean, my comment on that is, yeah, one, we've got to do a better job of making sure that we're sharing facts, not just what we were told. Unfortunately, for years, as long as I can remember, it's been presented as this was voluntary. You know, when we started down the discussion path, that's really, at least for me, the decisions were largely based on that, so that if we did have somebody who was negatively impacted by an increase of $1.35 to $2, that they would at least have the option to make an individual decision to back out of that, similar to some of the other conversations. So, although I agree with the mayor, I mean, mandatory's not wrong. I mean, we've got to pay our fire department, pay for our fire services somehow. But at least for me, the decision to increase the fee was based on a voluntary contribution.
And that's what we're doing. Everything we go through, we find out if it's been done right or if it's been done wrong, and we're putting it forward to try to correct it.
I'm good with the surcharge, but it appears there's been, and I would defer to Art on this, there's been Attorney General opinions imposing additional fee on water bills to fund police departments and unconstitutional tax. There was an Attorney General opinion in '85, and the Attorney General came to the same conclusion regarding mandatory fees used to fund volunteer firefighting services on water bills. So it appears that there's an Attorney General opinion making it can't be mandatory. So I want to confirm, when we bring it back, I just would like to confirm that with the AG's opinions. Obviously don't want to put ourselves in more legal problems.
Mayor said voluntary, that's why I jumped on it. That was the right answer.
Okay. Well,
it has been repeated in council meetings for 30 years that it was voluntary.
It's just not what the ordinance says.
I know.
So, let's go through our options again, because I want to make sure it's correct. We can pass this as second reading, which increases to $2, and it's mandatory, we would have to come back.
We will continue as the practice has been.
But we would be doing so in violation of our
Of our
existing
own
ordinance.
ordinance. You have
I
been
don't
for
see how we can
how
do
many
that.
years? It's not gonna change it in 15 days.
So can we make a motion to amend the ordinance tonight?
No.
No?
So I think this is a great example of when we should postpone and then bring this back with the ordinance, and we can consider voluntary mandatory at the same time as we consider the second reading. This is, I'm good with the pause on this one.
First reading. What? You'll have to go back to a first reading. Because it's a significant change.
No, it's
You
two
bring it
separate
back to
ordinances.
first reading and start over. We need to go back to first reading when we bring it back to us again.
So there would be two readings of the new proposed ordinance, if we move forward with that.
What Danielle is saying is if we postpone it because there was no action, there would be no action on this particular item, it would not go into effect. You would have the first reading on the proposed ordinance or whatever. And it would, then the action, we could postpone it again. Or you could postpone this until the second reading of the ordinance changing it to mandatory, to voluntary.
So let's do this. I'll make a motion to postpone agenda item 16 until council can take action on possible revision to the referenced ordinance.
We'll put both ordinances on one agenda, but it probably won't be until January.
Second.
Have a motion and second. Any further question? If not, I'll call for a vote. Ward 1.
Aye.
2.
Aye.
3.
Aye.
4.
Aye.
Mayor, aye. Passes unanimously.
Agenda item number 17, deliberate and act on a second and final reading of an ordinance amending Rockport Code of Ordinances, Chapter 106, entitled Tree and Landscape Regulations, Article 1, entitled In General, Section 106-7, entitled Tree Preservation and Mitigation Account, in Article 3. Entitled Tree Regulations, Section 106-15, entitled, is that just repeating itself? Tree Preservation and Mitigation, clean all ordinances to the extent they are conflict, providing for severability, providing for penalties provided in section 1 through 7 of the city's code of ordinances, finding and determining the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law and providing an effective date.
Mayor and council, this is the second reading on an ordinance, and there have been no changes since the last meeting.
Motion, have a second, have a motion second.
Thank you.
Any further question? Call for vote. Ward 1.
Aye.
Ward 2.
Aye.
Ward 3.
Aye.
4.
Aye.
Mayor, aye. It's unanimous. It passes.
Agenda item number 18, deliberate and act on a first reading of an ordinance amending the official zoning map as stipulated under Article 4.1 of the City of Rockport zoning ordinances, number 1027, by changing the zoning of land from R1, First Single Family Dwelling District, for property located at 1875 State Highway 35 bypass, also known as Certified Auto Repair, City of Rockport, Aransas County, Texas, to B1 General Business District to comply with current use of property, repealing all ordinances in conflict therewith, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Council, last meeting, we brought to you a recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission to support this rezoning effort by the gentleman that owns Certified Auto Repair. And this was the first reading of the ordinance to approve that rezoning. He was actually annexed into the city, and when he was annexed, he became R1. He came to us wanting to get compliant, if you will, and have his property rezoned to B1 to continue to run a automobile repair shop, and he wants to do some work on the property itself and everything else. And in order to do that, he had to become compliant and ask for the R1. The B1.
I make a motion to approve agenda item number 18.
Have a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. My voice is going away. Any further question? We'll call for vote. Ward 1.
Aye.
Ward 2.
Aye.
3.
Aye.
4.
Aye.
Mayor, aye. It's unanimous.
Agenda item number 19, discussion of traffic study results from previous council discussion regarding proposal and possible future action regarding the addition of a four-way stop at the intersections in the area around ABC Learning Center.
Chief?
It's a police uniform, not a mailman uniform. Let me see if that, I was working on the internet deal, pulling up here. Mayor and council, if you recall last, believe it wasn't the last meeting, it was a couple of them ago, we talked about the ABC Learning Center and putting our monitoring device or our traffic survey device up near the ABC Learning Center to determine how many vehicles, the traffic volume, as well as the speeds those vehicles were going. And I submitted that to you. And what I can tell you just from looking at those results, those results don't necessarily support adding a four-way stop sign or speed control measures. However, I will say that that's statistical data. That's not the parent that's there dropping off their kid, picking up their kid, watching the vehicles go by. So that's a different story. But the analytical, statistical data doesn't necessarily support it. So I'll leave you with that right there, and I'm happy to answer any questions for you. You've got the data. I won't beat a dead horse.
You nailed it. The data does not support. It doesn't appear that there is speeders through there. I guess they knew that you put it out there, and they took another route, I guess.
To illustrate that point again, you can't see it. It's not marked. There was one vehicle that was excessively over the speed limit. That was a police vehicle. In fact, it was mine. Going to an emergency call for service, going through the neighborhood. It was not during the hours when children were present. So again, the only vehicle at a high rate of speed was an emergency vehicle responding to an emergency call. And no, I forgot it was there. And when they brought that in, I go, wait a minute, what day was that? And I looked, and in fact, that was me driving to an emergency call up the road. So again, yeah, it doesn't support it, but I leave that to y'all's wisdom as to whether you want to put something.
Obviously, it was brought to me for a reason. So it's perceived as one thing. The data does not support at this time. So I thank you for gathering the statistical data for us. I mean, numbers don't necessarily lie. So, I mean, I would still support something over there, but if the data doesn't support it, then I got a uphill fight.
It's something that you brought and made aware to us. So back whenever we did that, I had officers keep an eye on the area, and we'll continue to do that as we do all, I'll say school zones. Again, I know by definition it's not, but nonetheless, we know it's an area where children are being dropped off and picked up, and so we'll continue to keep an eye on that area. We're cognizant of it. Again, in those times, we put out social media alerts, reminding people to drive cautiously when kids are being picked up and dropped off.
Certainly, it could just be the visible presence of a patrol unit.
Always makes a difference.
Always deters speeders. Not always. Should.
Often it does.
Often.
Well, let's see if that helps, if you guys have more presence and he has any more complaints in a couple months here, and back to it and see if it gets any better.
Absolutely.
Right. Thanks, Chief.
Appreciate it.
Agenda item number 20, discussion regarding a downtown information center location. I'm guessing that is Vanessa.
So I was here, you guys, or not you guys, the previous council voted to close down Main Street and put a public information center that had some restrooms attached to it. Recently, we have gotten some pushback on closing down Main Street. So I think it's easy enough. The blue bubble is the proposed Main Street closing. The red outline is property that we already own. So I think it's easy enough to move it up to that. If everybody's in agreement, I'll have them go ahead and put a design up there. If anybody just really is heartfelt that we want to close Main Street, I will move to my next option. But just kind of a verbal, are we okay with moving it? Or do we want to pursue the main street further?
I have been in some discussions on the subject with some folks, and I believe that the city owning that secondary spot that we have identified right now would be a simpler option for what we've got than the possibility that there would be some other use at some point in time for that street over there. Us owning that is a big change in what we were considering in the past. I would be in favor of that new location.
Is there any city-owned property along Austin Street that would bring that a little further, potentially if we reduced it in size? There's nothing along the entire.
No. I don't think we have anything on Austin proper.
Well, I mean, even off each side, is that the closest property that the city owns? Is there any others within that area?
Yeah, I don't think so. The next closest thing is the old City Hall location, which is on the other side of,
Yeah, that's way too far down. So that's pretty much, those are our only two options then?
as far as what we own. I mean, if we wanna buy some property, we could open up our options or.
And then based on the size, is it pretty comparative in size? I know that
it's gonna be a little bit smaller, it's gonna be a little bit tighter because, that little rectangle up at the top, I'm probably not gonna try to push into that. And I'm gonna try to keep the actual facility away from the house there, so it's not quite as big. I think the main street is like 170 by 2 something. That one's maybe a little fatter, but it's smaller. It's gonna be tighter. We can get it done. It'll be a nice product.
I'm not against going there. I would like just to have you guys can have a conversation with just the neighbors there and just make sure they're not gonna be.
So everybody is commercial except for the one house in the middle. So we'll definitely notify him. We own the one building on the corner. So.
Okay. Just, Councilwoman Rangel, I hate to go back in history, but sometimes reminding ourselves why we made a decision is important. The former councilwoman had worked with the downtown merchants, from what I understand. I was in these meetings, and really the issue was the public restroom.
Yeah.
Period, end of story. And that had to be addressed. We've got porta potties downtown. I mean, I raise my kids, I love going down there, and it's never fun to have a toddler that's gotta go to the restroom and not have a place to go. So the idea of having a venue location that we could have live music, or we could have small outdoor something. It was a safe pedestrian area. It was being built into, having a walkable, friendly location downtown. I mean, made me a believer, right? And then we had funding to be able to do that wasn't gonna be a burden on any individual tax or ad valorem tax. So moving it, I just imagine myself walking down the street. There's no way I would go to that back street to go to an information kiosk, probably nor to the restaurant. I'd probably get in my car and drive down to the harbor, before I'd go over there. So I'm okay, it's your ward, you do what you want, but this doesn't make sense.
That's why I was asking about any additional areas that may be an option, only because it is offset and it's next to, even like you had said, it being a possible venue type of location, that's sitting next to people's homes. That's not gonna be very well received. It's not conveniently located. I would hate to drop that amount of money on something that's truly not just gonna be utilized very well. I would much rather see what other options we have that's gonna pull that into that actual originally proposed area. Without having to go into any issues with the street closure and all of that.
So our only option in that vicinity is going to be to purchase some land.
Is there any possibility of a land swap? Take what we have right there, if we could find somebody who would want to swap properties.
Who owns the property behind the Brownie Maui?
The Bass family.
That whole block is theirs, if I understand correctly, including routing the Brownie Maui.
They're not interested in having the bathrooms on their property.
Right. I don't know.
I'd rather
I've
have it
heard
on that
some
street.
opposition, but the people I've heard opposition from have something to gain from it, and it's not the downtown merchants, so.
Well, going that, the people who
I
have
don't
opposition
disagree.
have a lot of, well, they're gonna be very loud and vocal about their opposition of having that closed off, unfortunately. I like the location, I wish it, but having to sit and hear what problems they have, that's gonna be a big deal, unfortunately.
Purchasing additional property, I assume, would that be not eligible for future hot tax allocations?
I would not say that it's I would probably say that it is not eligible.
What if we reduced it in size to still accommodate downtown restrooms and just reduce the idea down in size with the purchase of land? Would that be able to, if we kind of rework numbers and included a much smaller portion of land, that would still accommodate the downtown need without the inclusion of the extravagance of venue location and this and that? We need to focus on the need of what that area,
Sure, we can absolutely do that. Let's be
I
clear.
would love the original idea, however,
Let's be very clear though, the primary use is an information kiosk. The restrooms are attached to it. I did talk to a couple of the merchants last night. They weren't opposed to that, to the movement. In fact, one of them had proposed it. They think it would be a benefit. For the most part, of course, I think everybody would like Austin Street closed. I just don't think that's feasible. But if we want to look to purchase some property, I will be happy to do that.
I think before we spend more money on design on the move, if we could just, dang it, it's been on the.
So I spent $30,000 on design already.
Yeah.
I think we need to make a firm decision before we spend any more on design.
Yeah, I don't want to spend anything else on design if we're not going to for sure move it to that location.
I don't think I've spent quite that much, but that's how much the
Well,
total
it's not going to be
is.
free to redesign the. What are we gonna?
Time to think about it,
Sure, think about it. We'll talk about it next month.
Yeah, because this isn't an action item tonight, right?
Direction.
Okay.
It's all really good points. Yeah.
Anyone else? I think what you have as a secondary thing is an option. It is not, it's close to some areas. At one point in time, we had a discussion at the nearest place that we could likely go, and it was nearly to Market Street. And nobody's gonna walk all the way from the shell shop to Market Street to the bathroom. And this other location on Magnolia is a block away instead of 4.
I will look for properties for sale and report back.
So on GIS week,
I have
this
to
is
draw my own
amazing, I
map.
just want you to know.
By the way, the red square, I did in a map. The blue one, marker. It's not like we have a map maker on council, but whatever.
Anything else?
Alright, so 21, projects.
I don't have anything right now. We've been doing
Other stuff.
rates.
Okay, 22, reports from council. Start with Ward 1.
Just several contact conversations with constituents within the ward. Did attend the merchant meeting downtown, so it's very informational. It's pretty much all I have to report at this time.
I attended the normal Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, and they are now down a second individual that has moved and no longer eligible to continue to serve, so we'll need to make some progress on filling those 2 positions sometime in the near future. And then also attended the Stormwater Advisory Committee, and we'll defer to the person who can't talk on that one as our C.
Nothing new to report.
I spent the time, last week was Arbor Day week, and we had our kickoff party with the tree committee and Ranches Land Trust, and it went really well. About 100 to 150 people attended, and I think people really enjoyed it. Unfortunately, the week after with Arbor Day in the district, it was rain quite a bit, so we just kind of went and made a presence, and we did dedicate the mural that they did. But we were not able to do our events for the rain, unfortunately, but it's okay. First one went really well. That's pretty much what we did. That's it from my side.
The Stormwater Drainage Committee met, and we are looking at reorganizing into a board of advisors that include nothing but people qualified to deal with drainage, flooding, and engineering, and so forth. And each of the entities would have representatives on that entity, on that advisory board that would be able to deal with drainage and stormwater and emergency issues and come back with a good report to the county, city, and so forth. And it looks like there are some bylaws drawn up already for that look usable, but maybe some minor modifications. And we look forward in the future to being able to come up with a master drainage plan that can be overseen by this advisory board that has the technical know-how to deal with it. Anything else?
Executive session. City Council will hold an executive session pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code in accordance with authority contained in 23 Section 551071 consultations with attorney. Now my voice is going out. I'm sorry. Attorney seeking the advice of attorney about pending or contemplated litigation or settlement offer on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the governmental body under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the State Bar of Texas very conflicts with this chapter. Bong Nguyen et al. Versus the City of Rockport Building Standards Commission, docket number 23-0151 in the 156th Judicial District Court of Aransas County, and number 2 Concho Street in General Land Office, GLO Drainage Projects. Number 24, Section 551.074, Personal Matters, Delivery of employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, city manager evaluation, and B, reappointment alternate municipal, cannot talk today, court judge. We are now.
It is 8:17 and we are in executive session. we have? It is 9:33 and we are back in regular session.
We're going to do agenda item number 25, deliberate and act to reappoint alternate municipal court judge.
I move to appoint Judge Diane Dudnick as the alternate municipal court judge.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any question? Not, ask for a vote. Ward 1?
Aye.
Ward 2?
Aye.
3?
Aye.
Ward 4?
Aye.
Mayor, aye. It's unanimous.
We are not going to take any action on agenda number 26, but we did have 2 citizens to speak on agenda item 23, so we'd like them to come up right now.
All right. Kim Wynn and Jeff Hutt, whichever one of you wants to go first.
I'll be speaking for Mrs. Wynn.
Okay.
But she'll be, so, Mrs. Wynn, can you please tell your name and your address?
My name is Big Nga Wynn, and people call me Kim Wynn. I go with that for American name. I live at 1228 West Tourist Boulevard in Rockport, Texas, 78382.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Jeff Hutt. I live at 2201 Prairie Road. Excuse me. Before this demolish order was entered, there had been no code violations on the building itself. The demolish order calls for Ms. Wynn to take her building down, including tearing up the concrete and the asphalt. We asked the city work out a plan with Mrs. Wynn that gives her the ability to repair her building and get it back within codes. There's been no this has not happened within the law. You're allowed to do this. Mrs. Wynn has been in contact with contractors to make the needed repairs. We ask that the building permits that she originally got for the roof last year be allowed to use these building permits so she can get her roof repaired, and to let code enforcement let the work that needs to be done on her building. Right now, she cannot enter into her building because even though y'all removed the demolish order under the building and standards, these stickers have remained on her building. They weren't taken down. She didn't feel comfortable about getting the work done. So all we ask is that you work with Ms. Wynn. She's a valued member of the community. She's here to work with you. This is her savings. This is her, this is her pension. And she knows that it's been difficult after Hurricane Harvey. She's tried to get work done, but code enforcement has come out and prevented work to get done. We just ask that you guys sit down with her, create a 180-day or whatever the ordinance allows you to do, work out and, have monitored days where she needs to get certain things done before that time and work out agreement with her. And she's willing to work with you guys and do whatever it takes. Should I say anything else, ma'am?
I love the community, and I love everybody in the community, and I would love to live here in Rockport.
My understanding is that the Chapter 54 violation that was filed with the court requires that the court be the one to determine whether or not there would be change in what the plans are, what the order is from the court. I don't know that at this particular point we could go back and start looking at code enforcement violations. And I know that that was done over a period of several years, and for one reason or the other, the work didn't get done. And I know we had COVID, I know we had a hurricane, I know, understand that. But at the time that the last work was done by the public works folks, they were out there, and obviously, as I recall, there was an inspection done and no record of it. It wasn't done properly, and so it was refiled through the attorneys and it was filed with the court. I think that any agreements with changes in what the order is would have to go through the court.
I think that Ms. Nguyen should work with her attorney through that process because we don't have the ability right now to respond or answer that.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, we can't, I don't believe that's within our authority right now. But has she still got an attorney working on the case?
No, sir. She still has attorney, but the attorney, she's gonna release the attorney.
Sure.
I would like to correct the record if I could. Sir, there has been no code violations issued on her building before the demolish order. There were code violations issued on overgrown grass. There were violations issued on other things, but there had never been a code violation issued on the building.
Mayor, you can send some comments and I'll be back and forth.
Okay, I appreciate it. She will still have to work somehow or other through the court with her attorney, or if her attorney, has her attorney gone away? I mean, she hasn't got an attorney now.
Yes, she's in the process of looking for a new attorney.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
It's not within the city's authority to change what the court is doing once the paperwork was filed, but that's where you'll have to go.
Yes, sir. We just want to
We
express our
appreciate
desire.
your time, that's fine.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Any further action?
Motion to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn, have a second?
Second.
We're adjourned. 9.58.